Starting. Okay, we're back for the community cast at the Oradev stage. Welcome here. I have Reza Rahman and Ivar Grimstad with me here today, who are both on the Oradev Content Committee. Welcome. Okay, so I thought we'd talk a little bit today about Oradev and what are some of the goals for the Content Committee in putting together this year's edition of Oradev.
Really, the goal is, pretty much, the same as always. Try to put together the best program for Java developers, local Java developers that we can. I don't think there's any specific theme per se. That's always been the program committee's goal, I think.
Mm-hmm. So regardless of what the theme is, like power of computing or Oradev passion, put the best. Go ahead.
I think the team was kind of decided after we started inviting speakers. The quality of the speakers is always important, so we focus on the experienced speakers. We want them to submit some video and of previous talks, so we can check that the quality of speakers meets the standards we want, because people pay a lot of money to come here, and we want as qualified speakers as possible. So I think the quality of speakers is what makes this conference unique.
Best of breed in the area, really, is what you're saying, yeah.
Definitely. I mean, as you said, a little bit earlier, Ivar and I go to a lot of conferences, but really the big distinction of Oradev is, the quality really is top notch. I mean, I think it's very hard to beat, given the amount that we have, the quality of speakers and the quality of the content. And in fact, to be honest, completely honest, the quality of the attendees as well.
Right. Yeah, I've been really impressed with the conference. This is my first year, so anything that you would see in the future, you're going to be on the content committee next year as well. So anything that you would look for as targets for next year, things that you might want to adjust or adapt to based on the needs of the community.
Yeah, hopefully we'll have a lot of Java EE 8 talks next year, and maybe some starting to think of Java EE 9, so I hope we'll have a really strong Java EE drive in the future, and that Java EE 8 will be, maybe we can have an own track for Java EE 8, because that's going to be a cool thing, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I've definitely noticed it's nice to have a mix, right? Java as well as other technologies. I think that's something that's unique about Oradev. There are other conferences that do that, but with still, having that really nice mix, and then the local people, and then also building in kind of the humanity and social issues that have been covered here, particularly in the keynotes. That's been really unique. I think something that some conferences try to do, but maybe not quite as well as Oradev does.
Yeah, not at all. I mean, definitely, I think it speaks to the Swedish culture in general. Mm-hmm. There's definitely always a theme of social justice and social issues that are very well represented here. So it's definitely well beyond just technology. In fact, they do have non-technology speakers that really have nothing much to do with anything technology specific. It really has to do with conferences. In fact, one of the most impressive sessions that I saw is about how technologists should be involved in politics and why we have a unique voice and a unique value add, to the political landscape wherever we are.
I'll have to check that one out. I didn't see that one, so thanks for highlighting it. What's some of your highlights of this edition of Oradev?
I think actually the highlights have been the keynotes, and also talking with the other participants and speakers. As we talked about earlier, the sauna experience on Monday was pretty cool. The speakers' dinner. This conference caters well for the speakers, so anyone wants to speak here next year, just look out for the CFP, and because it's a great conference, and also as Reza said, the quality of the participants is really high, so you can have really good talks.
Mm-hmm. I have noticed that I've talked to a couple of speakers who this is their first conference in Europe, right? So I guess it's a good conference for that. I've been surprised how many people I've bumped into, and I've asked them, what other conferences do they speak at, and they say this is their first conference in Sweden or first conference in Europe, and even if they say, first conference in Sweden, actually it's all of Europe, and even my first time being in Europe, so it seems to be a very welcoming place.
welcoming place to yes. There's definitely that dynamic as well. But the undercurrent why that happens usually is because in the program committee we actually do something pretty unique that most other conferences don't do. We actually make a concerted effort to invite speakers. In fact, I believe I invited.
You invited me here.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I think I've invited one other individual as well,
Okay.
Chris.
Yeah.
He's never been. He hasn't been to Europe in a very long time. I knew he was a really solid speaker, so I just invited him. So there's a bit of that dynamic as well, and that's I think a lot of the times why you see sort of these speakers
Right.
that are not regulars in Europe, but they do come here and they happen to be good speakers.
Right. Yeah. Well, I definitely think that's a positive thing to be doing. I like to see more content committees do that, especially reaching out to people who haven't spoken before in that area, or maybe even have never spoken at all at a conference, and actually not just saying, "Hey, everybody, the call for papers is open, but we want you to speak," and having them accept. So that's cool. Yeah. Anything else that's really cool about Oradev that you want to share from a local?
We touched into it earlier, but the one of the coolest thing here is that it's not only a Java conference. We usually go to Java or Java related conferences.
Right.
But here is everything. And that's really amazing.
Yeah. I've enjoyed that. I've learned a lot here. I haven't been able to attend too many sessions because I've been spending a lot of time just hanging out here. But I've still learned quite a bit talking to speakers that are new and ones that I've met in other conferences. So
next time you should come to the sauna for sure.
yes, and I packed in too many conferences in this trip. I think I've hit 5 countries in 2 weeks, so
Yeah.
I put a little bit too much into my itinerary. So next time I come back to Oradev, I want to do the sauna.
Yeah,
I've
absolutely.
asked everyone what's the highlight, and that's most popular.
For the speakers, for attendees as well.
And attendees
Yeah.
do it every day, right?
Yes.
They're local. So the
Yeah.
speakers, most of them don't have that opportunity day to day. So
Yeah,
super
nothing
cool.
like skinny dipping in freezing cold water. You have to
Baltic
try it at
Sea.
least once.
I've got to go in the Baltic Sea. I've been on the Baltic Sea, but not in. I've been in
Right.
the ship on top, never inside. Next time. All right, anything else you want to share with us before we close out our interview today?
There is one thing I'd like to say a little bit on the serious note, Heather, if you don't mind. So I'll just speak directly to the camera for this.
Okay.
So folks, hopefully you can notice the shirt that I'm wearing. It's actually a picture of one of the U.S. presidents I respect the most, and I think one of the most important people that have helped shape the United States to be what it is today and what it should be maybe going forward. So I'll read to you what the message is on my T-shirt. It says, "A house divided itself cannot stand." So I hope we take a moment and ingest that message. I think it's a message that's going to be very important in the past few days and perhaps going forward in the next few years. It is ultimately what makes America what it is. So let's be very sure to internalize that message of a nation divided itself cannot stand.
All right. Thanks, Reza. Thanks, Ivar. Any closing comments? Come back to Oradev.
No, I'm fine.
Okay. All right, everyone. Thanks. We'll have a few more community casts before we close out the day today. Last day of the community casts here, but Oradev continues tomorrow. Thank you. Thanks.